Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the must-see series of Season 3 during the War Within?
From the creators of The Holy One Crashes Out, The Yeeter of Many, and Tanking Under the Influence comes a series that none of you saw coming.
That's right, Steve, so don't even dare to skip the intro, you little shithead.
Starring the dude that got rank 1 in Season 1.
And then topped it off by getting rank 1 in Season 2 on a completely different character, without any sketchy loopholes to claim that title on empty-ass servers, or anything like that.
In all of my 82 years of living, I've never seen anyone making even the worst specialization work in such a convincing manner.
And he makes it look easy, too!
You know, my grandson told me once that this man prevented a desperate hunter player from jumping off of a bridge by simply suggesting to play marksman instead of beastmaster. What a true inspiration.
Oh man, I bet there aren't many out there with the same kind of grid like this apex predator of a gamer. But what I truly wonder is, after over 2 years of putting off meta on the map, did he play every class this game has to offer?
I don't know, Jeff.
Let's ask the community!
What's a class I haven't played yet in a series?
Rogue?
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 Must be Rogue.
I don't know, Rogue?
'Cause he likes dick.
Hey guys, so yeah, welcome to our first Zero to Hero of Season 3. I actually never played a hunter as a series. Can you believe that?
No?
So I thought it's time. But before we get into this, let's talk to our new main character for a moment so you all know what's up. Is this thing on? Oh, we are live. Okay, so hey, I'm a young fanboy hunter twink with one purpose in life: to be a nuisance and a pain to all my party members. And because Beastmaster is the way, let me introduce you to my friends. We got JB, aka Justin Beaver, and Diddy, cause no matter how fast you ran, he will ram you uninvited. Now, I chose the super exciting and challenging specialization because you got so many buttons to press, and they all do damage too. Oh man, this is going to be good. After all, as a hunter, nothing can hurt you anyways. You just sacrifice your little slayers, and when it gets frisky, you just pretend like you don't have mana and a Diamond run. This is going to be the easiest ride of my life, baby. 3k, here I come. No questions. Ah!
I don't think so.
Oh, he dead.
Nope.
Man, fuck the elves.
Be ready to conquer the world of Warcraft by dominating Mythic Plus, single target, and PvP.
Am I just healing this dude?
Oh, okay, maybe not PvP. For the very first time in channel history, the overweight Fap Lord,
Hey!
my bad chief. The slightly overweight Fap Lord will get his nasty, disgusting, sweaty,
Oh, you just gotta say it like that, bro?
okay, just sweaty hands on the arguably worst abomination of a rogue spec this game has ever seen. And because he's not messing around, Keystone Hero won't be enough to hold him down, because this journey has only one goal in mind: 10k.
Be prepared. As with Season 3, we start to answer all the important questions like,
What are you hiding?
why is he not Soapy? And
Do you think I have big mom energy?
whatever the hell that means.
Oh man, that'll be the longest intro I've ever done, so help your boy out with just a quick juicy like in order to send more people this fever dream of an introduction. And let me know in the comments if you actually thought I'm going to play BM Hunter. Like, really bro? Come on man. But let's talk about it. Why Rogue? Actually, I wanted to play Rogue last season, But remember when I asked if you prefer a range or a melee for the next series? Well, you chose range. So here we are. For the first time in channel history, the Sneak Master 5000 will be unleashed upon the Muppets of WoW's Mythic Plus section to not only embarrass them on the DPS charts while swinging toothpicks to stab you, but you also get outdamaged by the guy who has more separate cooldowns than BM got rotational buttons to press. With that being said, today is the first episode, and we will talk about the rules and goals of the series. And for those that watched my Palace series last season, be assured we will actually talk about the goals this time, as well as the gearing process, what I did to prepare in the preseason week when 11.2 got released, and, of course, what will I personally expect from this series right away. But first, lore. Non-Soapy, our lovely undead Omega Ripper, got named like that because people hate fun.
You're joking.
This dude was named Soapy Titwank at first, but Blizzard had a problem with that. So I got thinking, everybody wanks, and everybody loves tits.
And that's a fact.
Which means being soapy was the problem. So to ensure to everybody that I'm a friendly player to have in your party, I had to become non-soapy.
That's some quantum shit right there, man.
Glad we got that out of the way. Now then, what to do when you reach level 80 in Season 3? Well, let's start with the new story in Karesh. Long ass story. A lot of flying, a lot of collecting, and even more of them juicy ass feet. But with the reward items, you catch up to the seasonal item level pretty quickly, if you happen to not play during Season 2 at all, which is fantastic. And while your boy was busy training a little bit on the orange target dummy, and then running away once I figured out it's possessed or something, all that training was not for nothing because we absolutely schooled this little bitch of a DK without any effort. We manhandled this dude so hard, it almost looked like he was AFK. And the first time was so nice.
I had to do it twice.
But all of that grade A ponage eventually left me with the pride scarf of the bandage boys that live in this purple haze of a wasteland. And with that, the actual story of the season begins. Face diving. Now, face diving has multiple layers of usefulness. Most of them not at all useful. You got the little thing that is a weekly quest that ultimately doesn't give you anything but mounts and transmogs, which is alright, I guess. Not my jam. But the important part are the first levels of the cloak that for us triggers some extra damage. For healers, it's a lot of healing, and for tanks, I think it's some sort of cheat death, I'm not sure. Anyways, what I wanted to say is this thing is mad helpful for the future gearing because rank 2 will allow us to simply cheat in delves. But first, we are talking dungeons, Mythic 0 to be exact. Arguably the best thing I was able to do gearing wise before the season started because champion item level was rare this week. So I quickly got faced with the harsh reality that I'm absolutely not him by trying to do a quick weekly event, and then we moved to the forsaken shithole that broke me into two during the last season. Priory of the Brown Pikes, at 2:30 in the morning, Degen hours. Degenerate was also our team comp. Not that it matters in Mythic 0, but besides our token Bloodlust guy, we had a trinity of the Holy Ones that surely were ready for some holy on holy crime towards the Sacred Flame Crusade. So let's quickly go over the rules and goals as we witness this peak gameplay in the back. Rules are as following: no radar IO connection to any other characters. Not that it matters anyway, since I only went for 3k last season. No friend list usage. Hugging only, just because we love that pain. And obviously, no kind of community guild to join for easy access funneling. However, if a guild happened to reach out to me, I may consider joining for the fun of it, since it's still a game you should enjoy in the company of other fellas. And I'm kinda interested in the raid this season because it looks kinda fire. And for the goal, we are not messing around. 3k, right away. No questions asked.
Yes, 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 yes.
I want to collect the Void Scyther on crack instantly. Now, did I get anything useful in this Priory Mythic 0? You best believe it. Did I die in here? You best believe it. Was I getting annoyed by those damn Germans even though I left their servers in Legion? You best believe it. Even got our healer in from Fabrock to roleplay some extra stuff into the run, just so he can slip, which caused some, well, displeased responses. But be that as it may, I got an item and this sweet ass recipe that would put some cash in my bag. Now, jokes aside, Blizzard did one specific change that will change how I play the first week of the patch. They made it so everything you do will benefit your vault for the first reset coming into Season 3, which will have the loot of Season 3 in it. So we are talking big weapons, big trinkets, and even the best possible outcome, a tier set piece. So what have I done to give me the almost perfect selection? Mythic 0 and delves. Many delves. Lots of delves. You have no idea how many delves I did this week. Unfortunately, because the tutor was bugged and showed me that I got hero track items in my Delve vault all the way through, I didn't know that plus 8 is the actual level for hero until the very last day, which is rough. Rough. However, ooh baby, don't mind if I do, man. Hashtag blessed. Now then, to make sure we all are up to speed here, this is now officially the start of Season 3 of The War Within. And all of a sudden, we got so much shit to do. So Mythic Plus it is right away, is what I would like to say. Unfortunately, legit nobody queued up for my +2 Floodgate. 20 minutes or so, not even a DPS. Was tragic. But I assume people are being overwhelmed with what's going on because we got bountiful delves, we got raids, we got Mythic Plus, and even time walking to be around, including a time walking raid. So instead, we continue to grind. Now apparently the new Nemesis boss for this season also spawned last week, but I didn't get to see it. So it's time to summon that bad boy and grab some mad extra loot. Huh. Oh wow, so that bitch not only just one-tapped my ass back to Narnia like a stepdad with a new belt, she also left me a bag of goodies telling me that I'm a little bitch. Just like a stepdad with a new belt. That went kinda well. So before jumping into keys and providing the most useful and not soapy version of yourself, we do LFR in hope of any more tier sets, since both legs and hands drop in the first wing.
That's rough, buddy.
Unlucky. Yet I got good news and bad news. I still got time wanking on my list to do.
Boring.
That's why I didn't record it, which is the good news. The bad news is, I got hella gear, and I also didn't record the pack opening from both the hero raid item from Ulduar and the normal raid item from the weekly cache. So we got a wrist, and the big weapon, dude! Insane! And with that, it's time. Time for Mythic Plus, time for the juice, time to show the world what's up. Time to unfold the wings of this bad boy and fly like an American eagle in the eastern war zone ready to conquer.
What?
Bro, are my allergy meds kicking in? Are we talking 15 million DPS? Oh baby, I'm ready. I'm so ready. Bring it on. Hey guys, it's Kosi. Welcome back to episode 2 of
I want to be ninja.
Zero to Hero Sub-Rogue.
Are you stupid or something?
I showed you a little bit of our first key. So that's where we're gonna start today. Furthermore, because I'm feeling juicy right now, I'm gonna show you vault number 2 later, because guess what? Your boy is absolutely pickpocketing that vault loot. My god. So if you're down with this, hold up. I just got informed that we start this episode with a simple hack to make your puggy experience infinitely easier. Don't invite rogues to the Ascension Affix. They're dog shit. And if you find a rogue claiming he's useful, he's also a dog shit player.
And that's a fact.
Hey, like and subscribe please. I even got memberships now if you want to support me. Please. Alright, so since I feel like I have to make up for the lack of gameplay last episode, let's jump right into the keys. Floodgate 2, and for the first time probably ever, the first key is not my own key. No one applied to mine, so I joined theirs with one goal in mind. Roleplay. You think those +2 playing Muppets would figure out that I put my key in last second? Okay, first key and I'm already a little bitch rogue. Unless I can pump over 10 mil just like that, baby. Recently I'm taking my vitamins and I think it shows.
Okay.
So let's quickly go over in a pretty packaged version of an entry guide to Sub-Rogue without any major mechanics. Similar to every other rogue, we spent energy on spells, or styles as those classic degens would correct you for, to generate combo points. And then we spent those points on even bigger spells. Yes, spells, you classic muppet. It's a spell book, deal with it.
Daddy, chill.
We can use all of our finisher. Wait, it's called finisher.
Stupid.
With however many combo points we have, but using them with more points will equal in a stronger version. So while hitting them with 1 combo point equals a pool noodle spanking you slightly, a 7 CP eviscerate will even make Jake the Ripper cream. Now one thing people would argue about is that Sub-Rogue has too many cooldowns. We got a 90-second Giga pump window with Shadow Blades and Flagellation, which for you puck brains is, well, every second pull. And then we got 2 that you can spam a lot more frequently with Symbols of Death, which just kind of buffs all the stuff you do, as well as Shadow Dance, which allows you to use spells that are usually used from stealth. For us, that's mainly Shadow Strike, and sometimes Cheap Shot if you need to stun something quickly. Which brings us to our combo point gainers, and I'm just naming the ones you'd actually use. Backstab, which is not only the way you got conceived, but is also our main spam single target button to generate points. During Stealth, or during Shadow Dance, that very same button will be replaced with Shadow Strike, which is backstab, but while being rock hard. And for AoE stuff, we spinning.
Helicopter, helicopter!
Now our spenders are where shit hits the fan. We got Slice and Dice, Auto Attack Speed, which is awesome and gets applied passively. How about that? Rupture, our dot that actually ticks quite nutty once it can tick most of its duration and the mobs don't die too quick. And we got African American Powder.
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
Which, yeah, no comment, since I'm white. And then we have Eviscerate. Basic ass hit that will clap some serious cheeks during DPS windows. But it doesn't end there. We got Secret Technique, baby. Now, do I even faintly understand how this bitch works? Absolutely not. The tooltip is way too long and I don't read that. But even though it's AoE, you keep that thing on cooldown, even on single target. That's something I know. There's also another cooldown I didn't mention, which is Cold Blood, and I just macroed that to Secret Tech, so I always use it together. Do that and ignore the button completely. So that's the basic stuff. Pressing buttons reduces also the cooldown of Secret Tech as well as Shadow Dance, which means we can spend more time doing more pew pew.
Nice.
And for the majority of our AoE, we pretty much have passive cleave to up to 8 targets with our hero talent Trickster, which kinda gets you questioning what are you even doing if that bitch does about 40% of your overall. So now, since we all totally know what's going on, sort of, let's jump right into the keys that made me realize how utterly dogshit rogues are when it comes to utility Mythic Plus. We have none. Bro, none. But we do have AoE, but yeah, shut up. The only 2 useful things I found on Rogue, or specifically Sub-Rogue, are the Shadow Step into Kick combo to ensure a slightly smoother gathering if your ranged DPS are lacking the interrupts, or if they're playing Beastmaster, and this, a choice of poison that either decreases attack as well as casting speed on the enemies, or atrophic, whatever that means, poison to simply reduce all damage they're done by 3.6%. What an odd number. AoE blind, garbage. Kidney shot, garbage. Cheap shot, yeah right, you're gonna use that from stealth instead of Shadow Strike that gives you full combo points instantly. But hey, we got a 1 hour buff of our misdirect spell on the tank, which means we can just YOLO pull non-stop and no one will notice. However, I need somebody to explain to me in a calm manner why, oh why, doesn't AoE blind work on those damn balls?
I don't know, Jeff.
I legit had to run around and cheap shot them individually whenever I ended up in the party that just didn't bother. It was insane. However, I'm yapping again. This floodgate key was my own because after spending legit hours in queue in dire need of anybody to play, I figured out I need to push my own stuff up to 6 in order to get some kind of attention. Unfortunately, we had way too many mess ups throughout. Dying to trash, most importantly. This was rough to say the least, and it didn't help that we legit bricked this key by mere seconds. This was just overall poorly executed on our end. But when I tell you guys I was mighty defeated just right now, just what, 4 keys into the season, I'm not over exaggerating. Every key I did so far was legit only a 1 chest, which is slightly frustrating if you want to get up there to play with the big boys. Be it as it may, I didn't stop, not a tiny bit. So you believe your boy grinded every damn key level until I reached the Covenant plus 6 level on this journey. And it took me mere seconds to fill this thing up. And this bitch was stacked. Stacked as that one chick in high school that all of a sudden had puberty hit her pretty crazy during the summer holidays. If you know, you know.
Stop it. Get some help.
Now one thing to mention here would be that I still refuse to go for a 2 set bonus even though I got 1 set piece from the vault, because the 2 set ain't it. It's a tiny bit more damage, which I figured doesn't make sense to rush without having the proper item to convert. And while all those 2 set having gamers were absolutely crushing my self-esteem, I can at least cheese some burst onto the boss and use it as a thumbnail. Who's the real winner now?
I'm an adult virgin.
However, I was quickly able to figure out the change of quality from these guys compared to what I ran with before. Also, what an absolute unit of a puck group, besides the missing Bloodlust. Red Paladin, 30-second cooldown window, Havoc, similar cooldown window, Sub-Rogue, similar cooldown window, and the double furries to keep you safe and sound. What a smooth run after all those wonky ones we had so far. Big fan. So I thought, flip it and do at least 1 proper key on my way to KSM before the reset. And lucky me, I got a Dawnbreaker. Plus 8, Tyrannical, my healer had a time of his life. Just look at how easy he was able to deal with the incoming damage. What an absolute unit. In all seriousness, I was worried a lot here. I'm well aware that the healing pattern on the first boss is quite rough and the phasing overlap with the dot that needs to be healed can be very nasty, but boy, you're a Resto Druid. If there's anybody who can do it, it's you. With that being said, you already know I was mega worried on Anu Pikaj.
Say that again?
Because real ones will remember, this thing slaps. There's one specific overlap on ball number 4, in which the explosion will go off at the same time as the shadowy decay, and when you don't use an defensive there, this will be crazy. So what do rogues have for this? Well, for this specific moment, you want to hold cloak for. It just says talk to the hand on that damage window as it's all magic damage. For everything else, use feint on cooldown. Insane damage reduction from this thing, considering all of this crap is AoE damage anyways. Eventually though, I think we all know who we can be thankful for. Not even 3 mil, season 1 numbers right here. But, Vault time. Full hero mythic plus section, full hero delve section. The target is absolutely clear, tier set. If not, then at least that Lily trinket from Echo Dome. Okay, this is getting stupid. I've talked to people without any tier in 2 weeks from the vault, and here I am having options. I thought about it, and I decided to go with the shoulders, because I do have a champ helmet with a socket to potentially convert in the future. And in hindsight, big regret. Shoulders got big haste, we want as little haste as possible. Ah well, you live you learn. What's even better is that we are not done with the upgrades. It is time for the big, juicy, veiny, throbbing tool that will put the Slay into Kusi Slayer. And with this new symbol of dedication, it was time to unleash the ghost of Tirisfal. I felt unstoppable, man. The wet noodle rogue became the bricked up rock hard noodle rogue to absolutely crush everything. And the best thing is, in Priory specifically, I reignited my joy for rogue. You see, back when I was a young Kusler, I played rogue before any of the TBC nonsense, and my favorite thing to do in the dungeon was to annihilate the casters of the backline. Cloth mobs got absolutely spooked by me, and I remember the Scarlet Monastery specifically, and because Priory gives me the same vibes, it felt just like back in the day. Well, without the 10 seconds of auto-attacking cause energy starve, but you get the point. And all of that hard work, all of that training, the crafting, the 2-set that I just sniped out of sheer luck, the joy of stabbing, the muscle memory of dealing with short weapons.
What do you mean by that?
All of that led me to the final moment to our journey to KSM. 200 rating away. The only thing we need is an Ecodome key. And when I say I tried, boy do I mean I tried. Applying for hours, trying to be the one chosen for whatever reason, sneaking into a party that will ensure the absolute overwhelming joy of KSM and the second catalyst charge that goes along with it. So many keys, so many declines. So I started begging, whining, coping, and at almost 1 AM at night, I had a chance. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Let me welcome you to episode 3 of in this Zero to Hero Sub-Machine Gun Rogue. In the last episode, we finally stepped foot in keys in which the mobs lived long enough for us to actually do some magic. We opened the vault, undeservedly yoinked the faucet, gotten ourselves a high-budget pocket knife, and then unleashed the most insane montage of early fight clips that just highlight the stupid burst damage of the spec without even showing you the drop-off. And not even the tiniest bit of any skill I probably don't even have. But hey, fake it till you make it. And today, we make it. Or made it? Make it? Made? Bro, what is English anymore?
I don't know, Jeff.
Who cares? The best part about making YouTube videos is being beyond stupid and still getting attention.
And that's a fact.
With that being said, today we roll up to the big boy keys. keys that will build the foundation of our 3K adventure, because plus 10 is on the board today. And you best believe some of them didn't go as planned. We also gotta define the meta for Season 3 long before those tryhard rank 1 wannabes figure out that the M in NDI actually stands for Muppet. And instead of a low budget cheap ass montage with some solid rock beats, today we're gonna have a compilation of all the fucking hours I sat in queue. But hey, as they say, new expansion release trailer, new me, so let's not mention that. How about you guys hit the like button when you spent more than half an hour in queue and then just gave up? And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the results of that dude that refused to give up. Alright, so after receiving the catalyst charge that I needed to get myself some Faucet, the question was, what's next? And I'm glad you asked. Next on the list is managing to secure a plus 10 key for our vault. Two ways of getting there. Either we play our own key up to 10 and invite the absolute banger party, or applying to somebody else's key and deal with the constant rejection. So you already know the drill. Man, I just want to play the game! The waiting situation got everyone so confused that this shaman really thought he wants some smoke.
Are you sure about that?
Turns out, he didn't want any of it at all. It's incredible how dead the plus 8 and 9 key brackets are, and with that, for the first time in forever, I had no idea how to get the 10 in my pocket. Shall I just do 6s until I got a free plus 8 key? Or rather easy 2 chest? Maybe Arakara? Maybe Gambit? Or shall I start something never done before? Lying on the internet. I simply stated that I'm an insane gamer with some mad achievements, which are technically not wrong, but I rounded up all of them. Yes, all of them.
You have a tiny wiener.
My Red.io isn't connected to anything, which means this was just a bold-faced lie. Some of it. So I did that. For a hot minute, and for some reason it only took me around 15 minutes-ish to get into a plus 10 key. Considering I just sat in queue for half an hour, that was a godsend. So I made sure to get the most out of me with the new necklace, which was by far the biggest increase in damage according to Sims, which kinda makes sense cause there's no verse mastery necklace otherwise in the game, and we even gotten some whetstones for that extra bit of attack power. So you already know what's up.
That's a lot of damage!
Ooh, look at me being party friendly with them kicks. What a gamer. Oh, and it's still topping the meters. Man, why can't everyone be like me? And while we watch this insane Big Mama gameplay while taking the right side first, for some reason, let me quickly mention the epicness of this week's ethics to you. Not only is the ball collecting something we can help out with, thank God, we as sub-rogues should also make it a priority to get all of them collected right away. And here's why. 5 stacks will grant us 20% mastery and some leech. Oh, did I say 20% mastery? I meant 40.
What?
Because mastery scaling is different on every spec, those 20% also have different scalings for everybody involved. Sub-rogues usually has a higher mastery percentage, so we deadass get double. Ain't that crazy? 40% more finisher damage should absolutely be on our 2025 wishlist, no questions asked. And hey, so far so good. Third boss? Only 4 casualties, right? Well, what would you say if I tell you that this is where this run started to fall apart?
You're joking.
We could have lasted the boss, and then have it ready for the final boss again, but we didn't. Just keep that in mind. We did kill it eventually without any problems, just remember, we could have been quicker. But surely you lost Swamp Face then, I hear you ask. Well, yeah, about that. This means now we only lasted 1 time in between the very first pull and the final boss. Alright, I'm not saying anything here, just that we could have been a little bit quicker. Now, we did have some swamp-related problems which weren't fixable with Lust, so there's that. And yet, still on track. And then there was a moment that really ensured that this run, ladies and gentlemen, was ready to be a butt fuck and a half. During the very last cry for help from the jump starter, our healer dropped, and instead of getting rest, right before the boss, he chose to instantly release. Almost 1 entire minute we had to wait for him. So our first plus 10 key was making my heart beat so fast that you best believe that I do not want the pacemaker afterwards, I need it. You absolutely have to be kidding me. 1 second. 1 damn second. Now sure, we could now blame the priest for this, and rightfully so. Disregarding, we had 12 deaths overall. Your boy was not even 5 mil DPS. We only had 2 bloodlusts instead of 3, and we finished the third boss with 3 people instead of 5. A lot of things that would have been able to get that 1 second squeezed out in the end. But all of that to the side, let's just blame the healer. They have it way too easy anyways.
Tell me, he didn't just say that.
Oh man, this is gonna come back to haunt me whenever I play healer again, huh? But with this, only half of what I wanted to achieve was done. Plus 10 as the vault dungeon means we secured a myth track. However, because we didn't time it, this means I only get a plus 9 key myself from that very same vault. So the mission stays the same, but the goal is different. Timing a 10 at least was now the name of the game. So I did what every degen has to do at some point in his life. I showed off. I pushed all that I had and eventually reached the item level of 700. Now, is that huge considering max item level is 723?
No.
Is that huge compared to those 707 item level luck lords that just get blessed with their vault and their enormous cocks?
No.
But does, for some weird reason, trigger the 7 in front a weird response on players that seem to think, oh, he is good, he has 700 item level. Yeah, for some dumbass reason it does. Didn't even take me a minute to get into this key. It was so fast I couldn't even press record yet. However, I quickly found out why this was so quick on my end. Poor decision making from the party leader. As soon as we hit the first boss, I quickly figured out that we had the lack of ability to keep the party alive through all that constant damage happening. I've never seen a worse performance since Obey healed us on the 5 YouTuber run, which by the way, cheeky self-promote here. Go check that out. Played with 4 fellow Muppets and we had some good jokes in there. Anyways, we ran against this brick wall multiple times until I realized a potential key break. Our healer Hearthstone to Donegal and left the party. Brother didn't even say a word. He probably was so annoyed by his tiny wiener and his own lack of ability to do his role, he took the L and with that a potential key abandon mark. But I didn't have time for this crap. I wanted more. More tats, more score, more vault, more acceptance from my dad. So we kept going. Arakara. Boy, is this dungeon a shitty ass version of the one we had to deal with during season 1. If you know, you know. Comp wise, I had some questions, but none that couldn't be answered by some clean ass pumpage. And while Avenox stayed the same, we as rogues have a fantastic way to minimize the incoming damage by a lot. Every shriek, you got feint ready to pop and your HP bar won't even move. It's so stupid. On the dance part, you could also use your selfie plus another feint to also ignore that otherwise. But I'm not used enough to what I'm doing DPS wise, so I don't press those buttons unconsciously. By far though, the cleanest boss kill I had since the start of the expansion, man. And just after the boss I knew exactly that I can trust this tank. You see, going left will be the angle in this season. They changed a lot of the percentage you need around, and the left side does have a lot more trash. More than double the count to be exact. So as long as you kill the stack shell and then start moving...
Wait a minute!
Oh lord, I just started to feel good about his decision making and then the trust issues came back to haunt me. Fortunately, this was our only mishap and so your boy was on his way to finally, for the first time, be the top DPS in the time plus 10 run. Because there's ain't no way any of those blue bitches is taking that spot. Oh, that's cap. That is cap. Details race is confirmed. So with a timed run now, we ensured a plus 10 key of our own in the upcoming vault, and I was kinda ready to call it for the week. Hence, why I made sure to include this character panel shot. However, the addiction was strong, and I thank the lords for that. I'm also very happy I recorded the entire process of applying to keys this time, because otherwise there's no damn way you would believe what happened on this one. I saw this party, right? A gamble key, with 2 rogues in them. Party owner was Outlaw, the other guy Assassination. Now, where those 2 premates, I have no idea. But I applied because I thought it's funny to have a triple rogue comp. Just as a joke. Turns out, he didn't speak funny the way I do. This guy gets shit done. Now this alone was hilarious to me and I loved I had this on record as a meme. And I even told them that nobody would apply to this. And then this dude legit invited 2 damn monks. Which, kinda sus, man. I don't know, I wouldn't apply to a triple rogue comp, I'm gonna be honest here. No CR, no lust, but 100% passion. And so our hunt for the unexpected meta comp started. Now a sub. This is one of the few posts you want to use black powder over eviscerate to maximize your damage. With that being said, if we had some strong AoE, I'd probably still rather funnel onto the giant, since that dude will most likely be the one that lives the longest. Just as a little idea here. The first boss though was a reason I was absolutely mourning over the thought that Tazavesh will be part of the Mythic Plus cycle. You know, back in Shadowlands, and I kid you not, this whole console thing that shows everyone where to bring their orbs was not a thing. I mean, it was, but only the dude on the console was able to see it. That person had to manually share that information with their party members by either putting down beacons or just telling them. Keep in mind, also no pings. This on a puck scenario was the absolute most insane nightmare you could have ever imagined. Luckily, it's changed. So for this big boy, ensure the adds die as quick as possible, because if they stay alive during the orb phase, things might get tricky. Oh, and when you get targeted by the beam, move ASAP. That thing will do damage before it even appears, so be mindful of that. The dragon, on the other hand, was even worse back in the day. They technically only changed one thing, which is the tail swipe. They removed that, which means it increases your ability to move around him by an infinite amount.
I need help. You see, I once again tried to do the math. On many different devices, on a calculator, on a computer. I even searched the internet for one of the automatic calculators and put the numbers in, and I can't get it to get to that number.
Oh well, not quite, since circle is only 360 degree, but you get the point. What they didn't change is that bad players get punished for being bad. Yeah, like that. Don't stand under the boss, guys. Hard to see what's going on. The key mechanic here as a party is to slowly stack them fire puddles close to the mountain, so you got the most room to move otherwise. You also want to stack, because there will be some adds spawning, and similar to Addons and Arakara, they will focus random players. So you make sure that they are all moving towards the boss, so the tank can use the breath of the dragon to kill them off without any worries. I'm telling you, the lack of the tail swipe is an absolute game changer here. That thing would have one-tapped us in so many ways, I'm sure of it. So Leah, on the other hand, you know what, I like this fight. It's a bit confusing at first, especially with the lust usage because of the two phases it got. And there are plenty of ways to cheese this thing. First phase, taking it over here between the edge of the area and this little wagon, you will ensure that the adds will spawn on top of you. Just perfect. And then look at this. Bam! Shadow step into kick. Name a dude who's better. Just one, I wait. Second phase also involves some cheesing. Well, maybe not cheesing, but positioning to make it easier. After breaking the stars, which requires you to make sure the lines will go through them spiky things, you want to go to the side of the room in order to maximize the time you have to react to them little spikes flying towards you. After 2 rotations of those, you want to move to the middle again to prepare for another breaking of stars. And then it's just repeat. Arguably the most annoying mechanic when you run for melee, however, is collapsing star. Every time you walk into one of them, an AoE gets triggered alongside the debuff. Usually I'd say the healer should do it, just because they can read the HP bars better, but in case you got a Mistweaver or a Holy Paladin, if you're a range player, maybe this will fall into your line of duty. Just keep in mind, don't proc them instantly. 4 charges, proc them after the debuff is gone. If you don't do it at all, this entire thing will go off. But like I said, it's always destroying stars, move to the side, dodge 2 sets of spikes, and then go back to the middle for the stars again. Pretty simple fight overall, and just like that, we 2-chested a Gambit key with arguably the easiest comp you ever play, and I stand on that hill. No CR needed, no lust needed, just that mentioned passion that carried us to victory. So now, after 3 10s, we need one more. One more for 2 mythic items in the vault, to almost guarantee ourselves a big ass upgrade. Just one more. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to episode 4 of me getting stuck in queue, which has me unleash my frustration on the Alliance Muppets. In this Zero to Hero Prime Sub Rogue. In the last episode, we moved up to the big boy keys while timing our first +10 with a fair amount of problems. All of that to prep our first 2 myth options in the upcoming vault with only 1 key to go. Which, yeah, about that. But, as I said, today we got a vault. Promising, at least in theory. We also continue our grind towards Keystone Hero on 2.5k, which is our last milestone before the gaming peak, which is 3000. And yet, that's not it.
I'll be damned.
For the first time this series, and for me personally the first time this season, we ended up with a +12 key that was screaming at me to be played. With that being said, this is going to be a full-blown dungeon episode with all kind of parties that really try to make it more difficult for us. So if you're ready for the 4th episode that gets us yet again into new heights, then make sure to leave a like. And hey, subscribe if you haven't, because we are far from done for this season and you don't want to miss any of that. Alright, so since I teased you softly with the dungeon including the brown pikes, which kinda sounds like a sex thing, let's go ahead and look what happened there with the intent of playing it for vault purposes. It started off really promising, until here. This is the exact moment shit hits the fan. Now look man, who am I to criticize what others play and what their DPS looks like? But 7 million on 10 targets seems a bit sussy. And yes, I said sussy like a 13-year-old playing Among Us for the 3rd time. On the second pull we did, we already ran into some mad problems that quickly got analyzed by our flavor of the month knob, who, as we found out earlier during the intro, doesn't know how to use his buttons. Healer's fault. And honestly, since that floodgate from last episode, I am already on board with that. Though, this time the healer had a valid argument. Now with a full wipe in the bag, we are marching towards the right side of the dungeon, which is kinda what you want to play this season. The reason being that the multiple buffs to both mini-bosses on the left side made it less worth your time. Don't get me wrong, it's still playable and most tanks still haven't adapted to this, but right side does seem to be a bit more promising and slightly faster. Though the route changed, so we need to find a different way of getting those sweet 47% trash count before the first boss. However, that's none of my damn business. I'm not here to do math, I'm a destroyer, not some loser that gets shoved into his locker. So with that being said, I didn't complain once about this garbage ass route that I wouldn't play at all. Now another thing I personally wouldn't have done due to bad experience is tanking any boss on stairs. Blizzard's track record of coding ground effects on a staircase are just as successful as my one-liners towards the ladies. And believe it or not, considering we have 8 deaths already, this is about to get worse.
You're joking.
No.
So let's recap. Tank decided to pull a pretty stacked double pack without meta, without cheat death, and then he found Jesus. Now on the second boss, I don't like to be the guy pointing fingers here, but with a DK, that boss fight is an absolute joke. With AMS, you can just easily soak all 5 stacks of that big ore. Don't use it on 3, use it on 5. You completely break the easily hardest mechanic on this boss every damn rotation. But Chrissy, you can do it with cloak too. Yeah, but that's not on a 40-second cooldown, is it? What I was trying to say is, this gamer is a perfect example of a flavor of the month player. Does mad damage, partly because Frost is busted, but who's complaining here? But those extra mechanics are just not on deck. But whatever, just saying this entire fight could have been a lot easier, not that this fight particular was the problem anyways. Overall, just a super bad run. A lot of random deaths to whatever reason, multiple party wipes, what a horrible way to end this week. So, to cheer up, I'm happy to announce I got the Biz ring that drops from here. How about that? God bless. And with that, we got the vault.
Yes!
Because screw yesterday, today is where it matters. Now here's what we want. Lily from Ecodome, statue from Halls, the other big ring from Dawnbreaker, or just any item that at least has either mastery or verse on it. Alright, let's analyze this crap. We got Mythic tier hands, fantastic. Solid choice, endgame item, awesome. We got the Harvester Edict, which I'm not gonna lie, I do have and I kinda like it. There are trash fights where I got this mastery buff up during my entire burst window. So as you can see, the mastery itself doesn't increase too much with the item level. And I got the sack of whoever wrote that dogshit Shadowlands storyline. However, now let's talk about the Ritual Forge. Insane item. Insane stats upfront when used. And yet, I don't like it.
Are you stupid or something?
Between the one I got now from the older Time Walk and this, there's not much difference. It even seems less fully upgraded. So it's whatever. Hands it is, baby. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot. When's the best day to play keys? And I came to the conclusion that it's Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, shocking, right? A lot of Legions farm their Gilded Crest cap before the raid, so I thought, why not be that Legion? Took me mere seconds to fill up this Captain Insane party of fat conk gamers for this whole scheme. Now you probably ask yourself, if this group is so insane, how come there's a death? Yeah, well, guess who died? Go on, guess. Nothing says in a more clear way, I want to dropkick my monitor and eat my keyboard, than dying just after you used Lust and all your cooldowns, including the potion. But I know what you want to see. Our biggest one yet. Our first attempt for a plus 12 key in the entire season for me. And technically, I got an easy one. Technically. Cause 90% healer duty. The godmother of bug bullshit coding is here, baby. Dawnbreaker. But first, let me talk to you about some changes I've done to my build and my gameplay since the last video. On recommendation, I've went with Thistle Tea instead of Cold Blood. And instead of binding it to Secret Tech, I've been advised to just bind it to Shadow Dance in a macro and then forget about it. Doesn't take a math enjoyer to see that 18 seconds of 20% mastery are more valuable than 1 crit. Another change I did was going back to DBM and downloading the dungeon module for it. Now this was a game changer. Kinda sounds like I'm sponsored. Have you ever thought to yourself, oh damn, I would really like a weak aura that calls out abilities so I can prepare? Well, then I got the thing for you. Now let me explain. I know a lot of you use DBM, but I'm a muppet. I Dragonflight Season 1, and I remember this very specifically because I was always a DBM main. I swooped over to Little Wigs because it had some dungeon tools that were just better than DBM. More useful weak auras and stuff. And ever since, I didn't bother going back to DBM because I never raided. Nowadays, DBM has a full-blown seasonal Mythic dungeon weak aura package that you can download separately, and DBM itself even gives you this info when you step into a key. With the link as well. It's crazy. So whenever you hear certain callouts like kick, CC or move, it's because of that. Beforehand, I had to import different weak aura packages for that. Now DBM has it included. Highly recommend for anyone that doesn't already use it. Last thing to mention is the affix. We got the Emissary this week, which is easily the best for us, buff-wise. 20% verse, 30% cooldown reduction, it's insane. Unfortunately, sometimes she's a bitch to kill. Bad RNG, 1 DPS not focusing it, can be pretty shitty. Now let's talk about the key. When I look at this comp, I'm quite happy overall. Demon Hunter tanks are still busted, Evoker are stupidly strong, Boomkins are hilariously useful, and Holy Paladin in general is a very solid healer nowadays. Also 2 CRs, 1 Bloodlust, perfect. Magic damage increase for both of them and Mark of the Wild. Awesome setup to make it happen. So here is how I personally approach this key. I use everything I have on cooldown. I don't delay. If my Shadow Blades / flagellation duration will go through and I don't waste half of it, I send it. Even if the boss is near. I mean, I do them 10 mil DPS even without the big 90-second windows, so just sending it felt like the proper way of playing. So I'm not gonna lie, this pull had me sweating. Not because of me personally, but because of our healer. He died twice, and then I believe the druid also dropped due to the lack of heal. If this already was such a problem, the first boss will be incredibly painful. Speaking of, the first boss. Now, since I can't control how others play, I can only look at my own buttons to minimize the incoming damage and therefore maximize the old saying, help the healer to help you. So what do we do? Well, the obvious one is to use Crimson Veil during the heal absorb. Doesn't help too much, but it helps a little bit. A more effective way of us helping is using Feint on cooldown. Specifically, whenever the Obsidian Beam triggers, since that's a big AoE, and whenever the debuff gets dispelled, which is also an AoE. That's pretty much the only way we can get rid of some incoming damage, and you can see it. Look how everybody else is dropping compared to us. Furthermore, it's important to keep Cloak and your healing potion just in case we need it. Just in case means, if I happen to have the debuff during the flying phase, I can just out-heal or cloak it by myself. Or whenever the laser and the puddles are badly positioned. Now, one thing I did test out is using Cloak in advance of Burning Shadows to be applied. It will not just ignore the spell and cancel it. It will instead dispel it directly, and that means the healer cannot control his dispel depending on the party's HP. So don't do that. With that being said, if you do keys on 10 or higher, please make sure you live. This is, in my opinion, by far the hardest boss in this dungeon, and if you think, no, the second is, I completely disagree, and I will show you what I mean later. If you ever healed this dungeon, you most likely agree that this one is way harder than the second. But fortunately, so your heart rate stays up, not only the bosses feel the desire to send you back to Narnia, the trash does as well. So we need to differentiate. Is that a word? For me specifically, the Dark Casters have priority in these runs. I feel like the normal Nightbolt is manageable and you need 3 or 4 of them at the same time on the same target to actually hurt you or potentially kill you. Which, don't worry, you very rarely have. But their channeling is what hurts like a bitch. They also attempt to shield, I think, every allied mob around them, so that's something that needs to be stopped. Now, when you tank this, be mindful, there are mobs in those packs that stack an infinite heal reduction onto you. First mini-boss is pretty straightforward, does a big hit on the tank, move out, and applies a debuff that you should try to use defenses for. It hurts like hell and I just cloak it. Second mini-boss is a bit rougher. Besides the dot, it also does some mad AoE every now and then. In this specific scenario, if you have the dot ticking during the AoE, use everything you got. Otherwise, you most likely bite the dust. The frontals they do should be played like our tank did. Just step to the left of the first and then to the right on the second. And nobody else ever has to move. Just beautiful. Third mini boss also applies the dot and adds the disgusting shadow marble on top of it. Aim that thing in the direction where there is no obstacle that might hit early. Because keep in mind, if it hits a wall, it goes off, and the further it's away, the less damage the party takes. Usually I've been told to send it down this hallway through the entire range party, but I've personally came to the conclusion to send it forward, because that wall is far enough away. And that way, only melee have to rotate a little bit, and the casters, more specifically the healer, can just continue healing without any problems. And still, even this being the final pack before the boss, I still use all my cooldowns. It's a time run, guys. Nobody gives a shit about your overall DPS at the end of the dungeon just because you cheesed some. If you don't use your cooldowns non-stop, you lose damage. Unless you're one of those rank 1 Andys with the Omega pulls. Now, let's argue about why the first boss is a lot more difficult than this one. While the first one required everybody to use defensives almost non-stop, this one is super scripted. The balls do hurt, sure, but there's nothing else happening. No movement, no extra damage, nothing. The only really painful part is the shadowy decay. That's the big AoE the second commander did, remember? That one slaps, so try to rotate your defensives for this. And the biggest issue comes with the fourth orb, because now we are seeing an overlap of the orb exploding and shadowy decay. This is the moment you need to live. Use all you got before the orb goes off, preferably immunities or big damage reduction. For example, if you are a paladin, use bubble, use sacrifice on somebody and lay on hands on a third if you need. I mean, use everything. We as rogue, we can just cloak this and nothing happens. And for every orb going off and every shadowy decay, we just faint. Rogues barely take damage on this boss and it's crazy. Just be mindful of the fourth orb and you will easily kill this boss. That's why I said this boss is a lot easier. It's more scripted and only has one naughty overlay. After that, when you pull the mini boss on the boat, be ready for some mad incoming damage. That goes for both DPS and healer. Don't stack, since 2 random people get lasered and that shit hurts like hell. Use defenses on it. Don't be cheap. Now in the final boss, I don't think I need to explain much as it's mostly self-explaining. Use defenses during the poison application, pretty sure warriors can just reflect one tick of them, and that's that. Second phase, however, I give you all a little cheat code I've seen once and I'm using it ever since, rogue only though. When you get webbed, instead of bringing it to the side, you jump down the last second, and as soon as it triggers, you shadow step. On this boss, shadow step will send you in front of the boss. So not only do you keep the area more clean, you also perfectly reposition yourself in a heartbeat. Obviously, only if you have shadow step available. And don't forget to use some defenses during the erosive spray. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, even though we had a very questionable rocky start with 3 deaths on the last pull, we timed our first plus 12 key of the season. What a clean run overall. I was pretty happy about it and I had a good laugh once the evoker said that it's weird to see nice people in Mythic Plus. I can't even imagine the misery most people have to go through. Or I have to go through in the next episode, potentially. So don't get it twisted. I had a lot of shit I had to go through to get here, and just for the purpose of the video, I didn't show you all of it. But I will, eventually, don't worry. So for the first time in forever, no cliffhanger. Have a good day, see you next time, peace. Hey guys, it's Cozy. Let me welcome you to episode 5 of abandoning my own key speedrun any percentage in this 0 to hero. Oh man, I'm ass. Subway Rogue Edition. In the last episode, I showed you what happened when you put a young, unexperienced rank 1 gamer with some actual tryouts while attempting our first plus 12 key of the season. We also figured out that using your utility like kick is just something for wussies, because clearly when you do enough damage, you can just flame the healer. Also kicking is obviously a grief for HPS. And we opened our vault for our first endgame item in form of a mythic set hand, which is kinda big. But today, it's gonna be bigger.
What do you mean by that?
And while that's not only something I said to my ex to prevent her from leaving, today, that's actually the truth. Because I kinda got addicted to timing 12s, even though it's just one, addicted to not worrying about affixes and addicted to being 30 PS because I can't seem to get my shit together. So that's where we're gonna continue. More 12s, which will showcase that the rather clean Dawnbreaker was not the common result of his key level with perks, while also learning the hard way that what the evoker said last episode was true. It was kinda weird to find nice people. Also, a fully stacked mythic vault ready to yoink all the goodies from, which turned out to be an absolute nightmare. So if you're ready to watch me underperform, die to stupid things, but be the beacon of hope in an abandoned vote that could decide between being a salty little bitch boy or a manly man with GigaChat foresight, then make sure to leave a like on the video, cause that helps me out enormously. Is that a word? Oh hey, and since we are so close to 10k subbies, might as well leave one of those if you haven't. It's totally for free and only takes you a few seconds to accomplish. Alright, so since we learned what it feels like to win in our very first plus 12 of the season, I'm ready to consider myself the prodigy of all rogues, at least in my apartment complex. And you might be thinking, where does that confidence come from? Well, let me tell you a little story here. The place, Floodgate. Prime time, 8 PM baby, European server. This little bitch thought he wants some. I didn't invite this other sub-bro because of any usefulness. I invited him to make a point. Now, were we equal in item level?
No.
Equal in score?
No.
Equal in rank 1 character during the war within? Yeah, that's what I thought. While I was pumping like a young god X that I am, this dude learned the hard way that the one button rotation sometimes bugs out.
Emotional damage.
Also, the fact that he said he couldn't click instead of use stuff made me understand he's some Season of Discovery enjoyer.
Stop! He's already dead.
Now, long story short, I just mentioned this entire run to show you this.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
Felt absolutely fantastic, considering I got smoked by that outlaw rogue earlier this week. Now then, because the plus 12 Dawnbreaker I did was the final key of this week, we got a vault to open. This time, maximum potential. 3 myth track slots waiting, like my stepdad with his belt out just to show me a glimpse of reality. Well, guess that stepdad line didn't age too well with that sack out. But yeah, we got the sack 2 vaults in a row. If you want me to take it, Blizzard, then how about you make it not dog shit?
Whoa, calm down, Jamal.
Now, unfortunately, this was as bad as it gets. Belt had haste and crit, which is not what we want. The trinket is more blue ball than me during November.
Naughty, naughty.
And then we have the shoulders. Tier set. Cool, right? Yeah, well, it's the worst of the tier set pieces, because it also has crit haste on it. But in the long run, this will be the only upgrade I could use, so we move. But what's more important to me was which key I've gotten from the vault to instantly continue my grind.
God have mercy upon us.
Now, for those that aren't aware, let me tell you something about me and Priory. You know how you ask somebody for their relationship status and they say it's complicated?
Yes.
Yeah, that. I like the dungeon. I really do. Gives me Scarlet Monastery vibes, and this was easily the coolest dungeon back in the day. However, the key requires a healthy amount of common sense, the ability to make decisions on your own, and that is something that bricked me so many runs in the past. Not just this season, but all of last season as well. But because this was only my second plus 12 of the season, I was on edge. I took my time, I actually looked up people on Raid.io, and yeah, you can call me a bitch for that, but I'm not interested in bad decisions. And this time, I built this party around my ass, Verse Buff, and Battle Shout, while having the rather mandatory 2 CRs and 1 Bloodlust. Big team.
Huge.
Team. On the first pool, I already figured out what's up. Fury is blazing, Dragon spinning, oh no, sorry, the other way around. And I was just minding my own business. Yet this run had everything. Solid pulls, strong healing, beefy bears, scary dragons, but something was off on my end. I felt like my gameplay flow was a bit scuffed. Usually I just use everything on cooldown, no hesitation. However, something just felt weird, and it didn't help that I noticed that during the dungeon. Now the overthinking happened, and again, not a big fan of this route. I'd rather pull to the 47% here and pull as little as possible after the next boss, because the trash in the first area is just a lot easier to play. We miss almost 6%. That means we pretty much have to play everything upstairs. But that's a problem for future me, because right now, we had the worst thing happening. Preparing the last pull after a general fab cry, our tank dropped dead. And that pink ranger took this as an invitation to just completely unleash his pent-up frustration from the last keys probably, because as for now, this was the first issue we had. So one of his questions was legit. I'm also curious why the tank would use Incarn on the boss, knowing he wants to put it like this. And if you don't have Incarn, then don't pull a lustable pack. This led to an avalanche of deaths, which, keep in mind, are 15 seconds gone from the timer each. Thank God for Blizzard's only good change this season, the Waystones. Our healer was in absolute rage mode, and I partly understand why, since it was not necessary at all. However,
I remain calm, because even though we just took almost 2 minutes off the clock with this, it's still doable. The good thing is our tank adapted. Still no incon up, so he didn't pull a large group like the healer demanded. Smart man. Or not so much, because then he used incon anyways, which was not the play. And now I need some explanation. We did the abandon vote. And when I say we, I mean them. 4 voted yes, but it didn't abandon. Even says it failed. And to be honest, I didn't want to abandon this, because this was just some rage FF by the healer. My rank 1 knowledge tells me this is still doable. So instead of complaining, we locked in.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Until it was time for the final boss, and yes, I will not show you the timer right now. I'm a blue ball you till it looks like that thing in my vault. So what do you think? Did we get here when all hope was lost? No chance of timing it whatsoever? Or did we just zoom through this despite a full wipe? Despite a bugged surrender vote? Despite our healer crashing out? Just because I knew this is doable. You goddamn right. Don't give up, lads. This is never over till it's over. This paladin, good player, good healer, but he's a little bitch. A little complaining bitch. A little attitude having ass bitch. A little frustrated about his own sexuality being ass bitch. I think you get the point. And when it all was said and done, he was a nice lad again. A little bit too passionate being ass bitch. Sorry, I'm gonna stop now. So yeah, 2 keys attempted, 2 keys timed. And never did I think in a million years that Priory would be done so quick. So jokes aside, I was happy the surrender vote bugged, because this run felt great. This is how keys should be every now and then. A bit bumpy, some bad decisions, but with the ability to lock it in, clinch up, and finish strong. I never liked that keys became so high in scaling that 2 deaths automatically mean you're done. Overall, this was an absolute awesome run. Even though I ended up being a low DPS having ass bitch. Sorry, I'm really gonna stop now. I want to mention though that I don't blame the tank for making it close, and I wouldn't have done it even if we depleted. This was easily the most normal fail you could have in this dungeon. I've been there, done that. I do believe he's good enough to realize his own cooldown management was a bit off for that last pull after the first boss. And that's fine. He did say he popped CDs, but I'm not sure which CDs he popped, because both Incarnate and Survival Instinct were on cooldown. But whatever. We move. Floodgate it is. Now before we start, I like to mention that I in fact queued this as a 12 and not 13, simply because I don't feel confident enough to make it. But mistakes been made. Though I didn't realize I forgot to lower it till the very end of the dungeon. Stupid! Now again, since stepping up to 12s, or well above, I pay attention to the team comps. I usually build around whatever solid tank or healer I find first, and in this case, we only have 1 CR but a lot of utility and pew pew. And when I say that, I mean a lot of pew pew. The initial damage on the pull also gave us the confidence to just continue to pull big. Because boy is Frosty K insane right now. What's the cooldown window right now? 45 seconds? Anybody knows? But while I wasn't all about the Frosty K's damage, I also kinda got my flow back. Targeting the high HP targets while making full use of Flawless Form instead of sniping more DPS with Black Powder like a chump. On the double boss, I was able to whip out my belt and receive the DK after he took a charge to the knee, which didn't do much because we lost the Blood Hunter instead.
I am Blood Hunter.
Yeah, that's an Apex Legends reference in 2025, deal with it. So far so good. Now came the part I was happy about having a Death Knight, until I realized grippy hands are gone. Our tank did an Omega pull with 3 Demolitionists. I never had 3 Ds in my life.
Stop the cap.
Pause. I am certain though this pull would have been so much cleaner if this group was on voice call to communicate targets. 3 times bomb Hailstorms with 3 melee was, well, rough. Rough. Now what do I seem to need desperately is an energy bar on Big Mama. I cannot get a feel for when she's going into shield mode. So a bar that will eventually tell me when it's a smart idea to swap over and focus target the adds instead of just cleaving would be huge. I know it technically is shown via timer, but I don't pay attention to that when it's up there, and when it goes down it's less than 10 seconds. Keep in mind, when she shields up, this chick ain't messing around. Luckily our healer was being him. Now there are many nice features on the rogue. You can code your weapons into free heal reduce, which makes things a lot easier when you fight while healing mobs. You can vanish out of fight to save repair costs, and you can also stay out of fight to trigger bosses that usually just get triggered after the treasure's death to save some time. Hashtag know your role. Now I'm not gonna lie, for the pulls we had, even though there were 4 deaths on the clock, this looked hella close, and unfortunately it got even closer. You see, on the penultimate pull, a pretty basic one at that, we had a big problem. Both me and the healer died very quickly. Me because I'm an idiot. He because, well, I don't know. The problem with one person not being there, however, is that the chances of the lightning bolt going through are a lot higher, which makes this like a domino effect. 7 deaths, full reset. Oh boy. Barely 3 minutes on the clock with the bloodlust. I'd say it's still too unlucky. I felt so bad, even though the healer also died. We would have recovered his death with a CR, and with me still being there, we would have had a lot more control. Nothing worse than knowing that you were the one who bricked it last second. It was a bummer for sure, cause when I checked the timer before the final boss, that's the moment I realized it's at 13, which would have been huge to have timed. Also, 0 score for 50 seconds overtime is diabolical, Blizzard, not gonna lie. Though this now leaves us with the harsh reality of how bad and sad you felt after not timing a key. The good part was that due to my stupidity of not lowering the key, I still had a 12 to go for, and yet no time to dwell in the past. We only know one way, that's forward, 12 Gambit. Arguably one of the easier keys this season due to the very generous timer. Why is our damage so shit? Bro, why did you pull that? We are all melee! Hey guys, it's Kussi. Welcome back to already the 6th episode of Bricked Up Keybreakers. And this is Zero to Hero.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Sub-Rogue. In the last episode, we figured out that in order to deal with anger management, you need something to distract you and fuel that hatred towards the game instead of your party members, while actually timing a priority run. Imagine that. Then we learned that failure is not only part of this program, it's also extra painful whenever you are the one putting that ultimate nail in the coffin to brick a key for absolutely 0 score. And we learned that having nice vaults is only something for, well, everybody but me, while getting cooked, cucked, spooned and shafted all together in our first full myth vault. But today will be different. Sort of. Because if you think we make any progress on our way to 3K, boy, you are dead wrong. We are talking Brick City, Big Brick, El Deplito Grande, Bricos Ticos, der totale Brick, you get the point. With that being said, if you want to see your boy struggle in any kind of way possible, besides with the sexuality, I think, then make sure to leave a like, because it helps out the videos tremendously, and make sure to subscribe for my coming, for the road to 10,000 subbies, as we are so close. Alright, so you already know I'm about to show you this entire Gambit run in just a second here. Though I'm not gonna lie, this started off a bit low in terms of the party's value towards item level. Those 3 heavily benefited from me getting tilted due to queue times, and so the core of the party was done. Add a CR to it and then send it. Unfortunately, my definition of sending it might be a different one, because this overall damage was not too bueno. And I'm not saying this because I'm on top, it's me included. This pack, even though we lost it, took forever. And at this point I already knew that this won't be a breeze. But here's what I don't understand. Why would you bring the Murloc mobs that get healed with the totem? You bring them into the tight area with the 4 guardians with an all melee party that often don't have a way to get to either the guardians or the totems. It's just not the play at all. On a full midi comp, I'd probably play the first 2 with the ads outside and then play the other 2 with the boss. But who am I? Just rewatching this footage triggers the shit out of me with all those commands that pretty much just say, go somewhere else.
Run. Attack totem. Watch your step. Run. Watch your step. Watch your run. Watch your step. Run.
The entire poll, including the beginning outside, took 7 minutes. 7 minutes! For essentially 2 polls just put together is way too much. Now because we got another Gambit coming this episode, the spoilers, I'm just gonna tell you 15 deaths ain't it. Loot the shitty trinket nobody wants and then move on to the next one. Dawnbreaker 12 is what I got after suffering through a 10 holes in an attempt to get the key up. Woo! +2 rating baby. At this point I take what I can get. And it's kind of unlucky if you consider that at this point I only got 2 12s timed
and Dawn is one of them. And I can at least tell you it was a quick one. We zoomed through the first pack, got to the big pole on the boat with Bloodlust, had a full wipe, and then awkwardly waited till enough time has passed to abandon that one. Wait, what? Plus 10, 2 chest, and that leads us to Echo Dome. Now this dungeon that got included with Season 3 and the new area Karesh was taken with mixed feelings. Usually the WoW community doesn't like new dungeons, since it takes everybody 8 years to learn the old ones. But then again, it's just 3 bosses, and it has some solid trinkets for both agility and intellect users, so people like doing them, some of them. What I personally don't like is all the jumping. My god, everything jumps in this bitch. But let's start in the beginning. I do enjoy the first trash lust angle on any dungeon. Lusting first pole is always so much more worth than lusting bosses. Though I was a bit concerned about that mage's damage, not gonna lie. Was it just another flavor of the month arcane? Or did he aim for something bigger?
I don't know, Jeff.
Yes, we will find out on the boss, cause usually they're pretty insane on boss damage, and that's why I invited him. Now, Ajika?
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
Is arguably the most annoying boss in this dungeon. Not only does this thing look like those little worms that will swim up your pee hole, it also loves to consume. So what you have to do here as a party is stacking. Stacking will ensure those jumpy adds he summons will somewhat stay in place. Makes it easier. When you're targeted by the toxic regurgitation? What the fuck is that word? You have to move it away from the party, preferably spreading those puddles around the boss, not in melee range though. Very important, as they tick pretty heavy and you need to potentially move close to the boss during the intermission. Speaking of, during the Devour phase, it will summon 2 sets of 3 jumpies that are getting sucked in. No jumping this time, but if it succeeds, it will heal 5% of itself per mob and gain a 10% damage increase stack. So you want to get rid of them ASAP, because if you don't kill them off, he will just consume all of them in a Mia Khalifa mega suck. And then also make sure you are not getting sucked in, but then it's repeat. Yet the mage did exactly what he was supposed to do. God bless. Now it's fair to say that if you kill this thing without issues, the key is already cleared. Second boss is so straightforward, and it's the entire mechanic. Jumping straight forward. When you get marked by the circles, stay close to the boss, but try to not clip anyone with it. Kill the spears, easy. Again, don't stack the spears. During the intermission, aim the face walker's dash through the boss, as it slowly breaks the shield by removing stacks. And then, repeat. Super simple. And after an absolute avalanche of trash, you get to the final boss. This one is pretty cool and reminds me of a raid boss a little bit. Mechanically wise, it gives me the same vibes as the candle boss in Darkflame Cleft. Interactive mechanics, and I love interactive mechanics. And during this one, you will constantly split little mirrors off of your party members and you in an attempt to attack them with spells, which then give you a dot, as well as some reduced haste I think. So to prevent that, you want to collect your mirrors instead. Now while that's pretty simple during both the daggers and the big circle, as it's just one, it gets a lot more fun during the second phase or intermission phase if you will. And there, you got 3. They not only stack, but also refresh the duration of the buff. So you don't want to just get them all at once, but rather one at a time. And you simply always collect the one that is currently into the cones of the boss. Just keep in mind, if the cone hits the mirror, you get a debuff. I never had 2 of them being in one cone, which is incredible, considering Blizzard coded this. So whoever did it, great job man. And that's that. Eco Dome 12 in the bags. I can absolutely see how this one is going to be one of the easier ones as well in the 13 or 14 key level. But enough with the progress, I know why you're here. The truth is, I was very happy that my key became a Gambit 13. Again, Gambit technically is one of the easier ones, timer wise. So I think the sheer amount of time that dies during the final boss is often underestimated. Nonetheless, I had so many 2 chests on plus 10s before, so I'm positive. Now this gang packed a lot more heat than the one we had earlier. DK was not messing around, and I specifically wanted an Elemental Shaman, as we needed Lust, as well as a range to potentially get more of the nasty Guardian pull before the first boss. And because hunters suck donkey dicks. To compare here, we pulled the boss with 22:43 to go, and in the plus 12 we did earlier, it was over a minute later. But Chrissy, you said it's Brick City, why you showed your good dicks? Yeah, shut up, I get to that. You see, this run had one flaw. Just one.
It's you! It's you!
No, not me. Our tank making one misstep. During the Hooktail boss fight, our pink ranger, formation tank, got absolutely annihilated. I mean, dusted, completely cooked, sent to Narnia. I'm talking one-way ticket. He got completely flushed by this dragon's breath one should avoid. And we couldn't rest him because he gone. Now with that being said, besides our resident storm meter, the rest was optimistic that we still got time. I mean, it's 2 bosses and 3 trash pools, so technically there's room. So that gets even harder if there's 3 people dying in the trash. Unstable rift going off. See you later. And even then, with almost 5 minutes on the clock and the last spent, this looked doable. Or even more specific, 2:30 for phase 2. However, now obviously I just showed you those 2 deaths by the shaman for the purpose of joking. I won't blame him, and I don't blame the tank either for the wipe we had earlier. Not at all. It happens, man. It's an honest mistake. A brain fart, if you will. I'm sure he done this 100 times and never got hit before. Disregarding, I personally thought it's hilarious that the shaman died twice during the final phase where nothing is happening and you only have to dodge those flying dicks, and was even dead at the end of the run. And then he said, thanks for nothing, like it's everybody else's fault. If he lived that, we would have finished it in time for sure. So again, my overall DPS was ass, so who am I to shit talk? Gotta improve that first before I can be a prick about it.
And that's a fact.
Maybe this little weird tortilla mount will help me with it. So what else have I been up to? Well, I can tell you, clapping some sweet alliance cheeks in my free time. Yeah, sit down, you little night elf, tree-hugging, homeless AFK being a bitch. Hey, hold up, what is this? Turkish 1v1? But besides all of the above, I'm just very unlucky with the keys. From the gambit I got an Echo Dome. I did that on 10 with the gold 2 chested. Cool. Priory. Unlucky. Fortunately, I eventually ended up with a horse 13. Now here was the problem I had. Just before I did this key, I saw all the changes that are being sent towards halls. 10% less trash, the shard pulls get a lot easier, and some stuff gives more percentage to compensate. Fantastic! But I had the key now. So what does one do when he's a pain addict, always in search for some self-inflicted harm? In a video game, he's looking for people for pain. To play. Now I want you to pay good attention now, because if you blink, you might miss— oh, you missed it. That's it. GG, go next. But what happened? I got weak. That's what happened. This BM Hunter. What you don't know is, Harry Jamal is actually Latin and means as much as release spirit. Because that was what he was doing the entire run. Little bro died twice. In the 13 to the ground effects. As a BM Hunter. You know, those guys that don't have any cast can just wiggle around in 40-yard range while playing their full rotation. That was crazy. And the only reason I invited this dude because he was duo queuing with the healer. This man is lucky he got a friend who carries him into keys so he can be Captain Brick himself. Never again. I swear it, today, no more BM Hunters. Harry Jamal has proven me right again. If you're unhappy about me never inviting BM Hunters again, until this channel dies, say thanks Harry in the comments. Now, but of course I still got to 12, just hours before reset. This one started off a lot smoother, no deaths, clean execution, healer kicking, a lot actually, until we had that one loyal beast go through. 3 of us kicked the same Houndmaster, and the other one finished the cast, and then we caved in. Now this was on the unfortunate side of things, because those overlaps are bound to happen during pack groups. And yes, rewatching this, of course we could have done so many things to stop it, but in the heat of the moment, you know, it's different. But a full wipe on this dungeon is almost a resignation ladder. Tough timer. Way too much trash. But we wanted to continue. I personally wouldn't mind the training, especially the second boss, when it comes to pressing buttons and cooldown management for the ads. However, we didn't get to that. And hey, keep in mind, it's almost 1 AM, 2 hours before reset, before the nerfs, which means I gave up. However, one thing I need to tell you. There were a lot of keys I did, and I didn't show you those because they were just fillers to get back up to 12, or those were keys that I already done on 12. Between the last time we got rating in Echo Dome and now, it's been around 4 hours of recording. So I decided to take a breath, accept defeat, live to fight another day as they say. And with that, I mean I quickly did some last minute normal raid to kill Fractilis and get at least 2 chances for the Nether Prism in the vault. Speaking of, after weeks of fat, veiny, bricked cockage in the vault, surely today is the day. Surely. Who the fuck is this goblin dick? Hey guys, it's Kusi. Let me welcome you to episode 7, in which
finally
we get called out for the lack of pumpage by a supreme gamer who dies on trash packs. In this Zero to Hero, Kusi Boosted Confirmed, Sub-Rogue Edition. In the last episode, I complained myself into an emotional hibernation until I was happy to time my third plus 12 while figuring out that they messed with the rating and you need pretty much all 13s now to get 3k. Or at least 6?
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Good shit. We also learned an old German saying that goes,
Soll ich dich mal ganz kurz gegen die Vitrine werfen?
Which is exactly what I thought after I saw the great A performance of Harry Jamal in an attempt for the most obvious dungeon grief since that dude that probably had mistaken his mana gem for a ferret Viagra pill.
So with ferrets, a lot of the times what you want to do is hold their butt.
Daddy, no!
Though today will be different. Today is finally the day where we get exposed for the cheap, disgusting, filthy, saggy tit having boost lord that we truly are. And yet, another hunter. Though I'm gonna be honest, at this point, I'd absolutely prefer the abusive survival over the movement impaired beastmaster I usually get. So if you want to see me crash out over long queue times, bad luck when it comes to party members, and boosted gameplay apparently, then make sure to leave a like, as it really butters my aggro. And while you're at it, subscribe too, since we are now less than 200 away from having more subscribers than Diddy had baby oil bottles.
We gonna go full crazy.
Alright, so since I gave you a quick glimpse of my vault at the end of last episode, let's start with that. Unfortunately, another one that isn't insane, as they say. The shoulder piece is currently useless, as I already have a maxed out myth shoulder. The chest piece would be fine, considering it's an endgame upgrade and grants me more stats than the hero one I currently have after upgrading and converting it, and we got the dagger. Now for every other spec in the game, maxing out a second weapon would be huge. The truth is, offhand weapons don't do anything for sub-rogues. They trigger nothing. Don't add additional damage to your gainers or spenders, they just do white hit damage. And yet, I simmed it, weapon slightly beats the chest piece. And when I say that, I mean barely any of them are an upgrade. But that's okay, I'm more in hopes for the Nether Prism anyways than anything Mythic Plus has to offer right now. So there's nothing left to do besides attempting to be the change I want to see. Which means I need to get back to grab keys I need for rating. Plus 12 Echo Dome was the one I got from my vault, which is perfect, because it's an easy key, high chance to 2 chests on 10s, and therefore a good warm-up. And boy, would I consider myself warm after that 7 million overall performance of a 3 chest. Insane party. Wish I kept those around for the upcoming key, which was... I'm telling you, similar to Theater of Pain last season, not a fan. And I'll die on that hill. There's nothing in Streets that make me be excited. Nothing besides leaving a dungeon once I'm done. However, I was super determined to time this key regardless, cause at 13 Streets would mean I would never have to play this thing again for the rest of the series. So I clinched up, gotten myself an absolute unit of a party with a Bloodlust, 2 CRs, a PI for, well, anyone but me, and some fruits for the required vitamins. Guess our healer was allergic to fruit though. So we instead got a shaman with a mastery buff that I as well benefit from. Big W. Now one thing I don't like about Streets are pull patterns, because every tank has different ones. Some clear only the beginning to last the boss quick, some clear everything before the boss and then add some trash on top of the boss, which honestly, good thing to do. And I figured out why it's called Streets of Wonder, because everything I do is wonder if pulling the mini boss on top of the first last pack is worth it. Or is that just too much to deal with? I don't know. Have you tried it? Because I do feel like the boss itself is chill enough to place some trash on top of it, but maybe I'm wrong. Disregarding, because the pull sizes are kinda low, trash very rarely is an issue. So we talk about the boss instead and how greed can affect your performance. You see, I do not have the timings down on this.
Oh really?
Shocker. So often I pressed my cooldown windows and then I got the sucky debuff which requires me to clear the room. Look at this shit DPS, man. I had the sucking so often, with so many stacks of damage done increased, there's no excuse. And then once I had cooldowns, the big boy came to mess me up. I also completely forgot that during the whirl, the sucking does get more potent towards the end. Which means, while you can edge in the beginning to do some damage, you lose eventually. I really need to figure this boss out for me personally on melee, that's for sure. Yet still I was hopeful, cause we already unlocked the special mechanic most puck parties never witness. Communication. During the RP event to burn time for Bloodlust to come back up so we can use it on the mailman is 5-head. Much more use of it than on the concert fight later, since you can add the pack of trash on top of it as well. Speaking of, while I'm absolutely known for having no musical talent whatsoever, unfortunately I cannot escape my past. But while hitting on these notes went a lot better than hitting on any girls in high school,
Another stone cold realization was about to kick in. You may get the trash out of me, but you never get me out of the trash. Now, dying here is very annoying, because the entire fight relies on you having that constant damage buff to deal with the boss and the mechanics better. And once you lose it, it takes a long ass time to stack it back up. Because of that, the final warning got through and took another life. So because I died twice during boss fights, lost buffs twice during boss fights, we didn't have a chance anymore. Again, it's one thing if someone else breaks my key and I can pretend that I wasn't the problem to cope with my own failure, but it's another thing when I was the reason we didn't time it. My own stupidity of greeting some damage was so bad that ultimately will force me to play this shithole of a key again, and that absolutely sucks donkey dick. You wanna know how bad this I can't time keys depression became?
Yes.
I was happy that in the 12 halls we did next, I wasn't the reason for depleting it. Besides some deaths that may or may not have been avoidable, we had one specific moment of a full wipe because of one lesser brilliant decision, which I personally didn't even think of. We tried to chain pull some with those little groundkeepers around. The problem is, once they drop low, they start running. So they added extra. GG, see you later. Though I did get my Biz belt, which is grand, and the tank knew that this one idea he had most likely was the key break. So what do you want me to do? It's okay, I'm sure he will remember this too, and ain't life just about learning?
No?
Scratch that. I'm just happy I wasn't the reason to break it, as this was part of my rehabilitation program. One Dawnbreaker and one Eco Dome later, I once again sat here with the 13 key I desperately need. Arakara. All the nerfs prior to Season 3 never attacked the problem I personally have with this dungeon, and that's the first boss. It got nerfed a little bit with the recent hotfix while lowering the add HP as well as the damage done during the dancing phase, so I was hopeful it helps out a lot. However, it turned out that the HP of the adds weren't the problem, it was the damage done in general. While we had some unfortunate spawning when it came to the range of adds, I had to run around a lot. Our tank also didn't move the boss towards the adds. I'm not sure why, but maybe it was because most of our ranges didn't move either, so he was afraid the adds would run into the boss instead, which is absolutely not exciting. And so this constant back and forth of me going on adds, them splitting so much because rangers couldn't stack in order to make the add stack, which led to absolutely no damage on them, which led to zero uptime on the boss, which led to add spawning just when the others were dead, which led to me looking for another group to do this key on 12. Now this one was a difference of day and night. Clean run, a lot smoother pulling, no weird ass chaining into new packs while casters are alive that no one kicks. An absolute flawless run. An almost absolute flawless run. You know what, I just shut up. However, I gotten pretty uncomfortable on the final boss when we had 2 people dying because even though the timer still looked fine to me, we still had a trash pack to deal with afterwards. And finally, we timed another key. Halfway through with 12s, and I'm exhausted, man. So let me quickly explain the little crash out I had with the YouTube post. I just needed to vent a little, man. I like playing keys. I do enjoy playing the rogue too. I think it was just the extra pressure of me only having roughly 2 days a week of recording that got me a bit winded up. Because I kinda wanna get footage for the videos, you know? Of course I'm not gonna stop the series. For now. I might though after the next dungeon, because now we get the juice. 13 Floodgate, for the second time mind you. Maybe you remember the 1 minute overtime during the last time we were here. So I made sure the party is rock solid. Double CR. Double Lust, just in case. A survival hunter, cause if you play survival in 2025, I know you're dead serious. And of course the Evoker for the constant big pulls to just annihilate the packs. Fantastic. And I'ma be honest, I totally forgot how hard survival is slapping. Or getting slapped. Now of course you all saw the thumbnail and the intro in which you saw this guy calling me boosted, clearly being upset. So what happened? Well, let me tell you what. During the duo boss fight we managed to absolutely blow ass while playing the bombs. First, our Evoker just took 1 bomb here instead of 2. Then our Hunter, instead of sending the boss the entire way down to clear 3 bombs at once, only let the boss clear 1 of them so he could stay in melee. Then, instead of, well, again, letting the boss run through at least 2 of the bombs in the same corner, the Evoker refused to move and only let him hit 1 as well. So the tank had to run the entire way in an attempt to save us. Spoilers, he didn't. So just to clarify this, right? I neither had the debuff nor the charges. I had no control about how to play the bombs and what bombs go off. And we had 3 bombs too many. Just so you understand this. I had no control. We kept the pull alive with the Evoker being dead, and all of a sudden
I also got targeted by the mechanic. But don't you worry, your boy easily takes 3 of them out. Because I'm not an idiot. For once. This fight took forever to finish with only 2 DPS though, not gonna lie. Then the weird stuff continued. We did a normal pull, I used my cooldowns, cause why sit on them. Then we pulled multiple packs onto Big Mama to make Lust worth a while. It's a good pull. The problem is I didn't expect this pull, nor was I ready for it. Big cooldowns weren't available, which made the overall damage look like this.
Brother,
I only had my stuff ready when everything was dead already, and we get into the intermission phase. Which is alright for getting the boss down, but horrific for the overall DPS. Would have loved to have my stuff ready here during pull, that's for certain. Now, long story short, we overpulled a little, though I didn't think that was the tank's fault, just some body pulling. We had one guy dead for half of the first boss fight, on 2 targets, and overall 5 deaths. And yet, even though I didn't die or misplayed any mechanic that caused dying, for some reason, I was the one boosted. You know, me, who played mechanics instead of ignoring them to do more damage. Me, who maybe got a little bit unlucky with the cooldown management because I didn't expect certain pulls. Yes, my overall is not good. 6 million for Floodgate is a far cry from being useful in order to time 13s. But dying or ignorance towards mechanics is as well. Not to mention the dying to the Beyblade bots on the second pull. Good job, man. You do big damage, and I expected that from somebody that plays survival because they are rare and you kinda have to like it. But you not only died more often than me, you also were ready to accept a full party wipe just so you can do some more damage. I would have loved to talk to him about this. Yet, like the little edgelord he is, he just left right after making a comment. Unlucky. Yet this sparked something in me. Cause I assume his boosted provocation wasn't towards my gameplay itself, it was about my damage. And he's not incorrect. So I had to change something. And in order to do that, I need to figure out what am I missing. No, that's old. Titties. More titties. Garage keys. Hell yeah!
I'll be covering the new talents, the gearing process, how you're gonna open and how you're gonna manage your cooldowns here with the new build. And just generally how you can become the best sub-rogue you can be, as well as I'll show you some macros and other tips and tricks you can use in order to min-max your damage.
Hey guys, it's Kusi. Let me welcome you to the episode 8 of Just Considering to Cheat just to get through the series.
I'm an adult virgin.
In this Zero to Hero, give me some score after midnight.
Stop it. Get some help.
Sub-Rogue Edition. In the last episode, we finally gotten some progress while not only timing 12s on our way to 3k, we also made some personal progress in, finally, not having the blue ball trinket in our vault for once. Though not everything was sunshine and sack of terrors, as we also felt the harsh reality of Mythic Plus after we got called boosted, even though we never failed a mechanic or died to anything. And do you know how ass your damage has to be called out like that from a dude that absolutely would have taken a party wipe just for his own DPS sake? But that sparked something in me, and so we need to get our shit together. Figure out what am I missing to actually do damage. And we will learn the secret technique for pugging, because today I'm fed up playing my own keys and turning them from 13 to 10 just like that. So instead, we are going to apply for them and potentially yoink a spot in the streamer's key.
You're a liar, a cheater, a sinner.
So if you're ready for this episode full of fails, joy, score and abandoning, then make sure to leave a like just like you always do, because it helps the video out so much. And if you haven't, you can also subscribe for totally free, as at this point we are less than 100 away. Alright, so after getting called out for my low DPS, which is the WoW term for saying
you have a tiny wiener,
I was ready to change things. And nothing says long shaft more than a dude with a deep voice and a big beard.
We are chilling, we are pumping.
Oh yeah, he's packing heat for sure. He's also packing some damage, so I absolutely enjoyed listening to his explanations. What I gathered from his rotation compared to mine was that first and foremost, I waste a lot of cooldowns for the sake of killing the pack. That means whenever my big 90-second CDs come up, I should save my Shadow Dance and Symbol stacks instead of using it at the end of the pack. I know this sounds very baseline for you, but in my head, if I don't use it, it's wasted, because nobody else is using anything. But in a solid pull, you want at least 2 stacks of Shadow Dance, so you can spend pretty much your entire big CD window in the dance. Makes sense. Noted. Another thing I really never paid attention to was dance?
Are you stupid or something?
Dans Macabre. For every different ability that either gains or spends combo points during Shadow Dance, all the damage of any of those spells gets increased. I legit never used Backstab in Shadow Dance, but because you get a guaranteed max combo point on the first gainer after dancing, now I start to use the plain ass Backstab as an opening spell before going into burst mode. But what's even more important, the existence of Dans Macabre now triggers a aha moment. Because now it makes sense to run a talent that gives you 4 seconds more Shadow Dance duration after being 6 seconds out of combat. Now, how is that relevant? I can tell you. It means that my overall damage is so shit because of all the chain pull muppets that are trying to ruin my vibe. If this sub-rogue explanation told me anything, it's that tanks are the reason for my lack of DPS. I'll be damned. Oh, and to use Backstab after Shadow Dance. But most importantly, tanks. And all I can say is, I knew it. Always tanks, man. It's never me, it's always them. However, one thing, and that's a fact, you can't control about your own cooldown management is sometimes it's just like in the Floodgate we had. We do a decent pull, which will probably take a minute, so it makes sense to use my cooldowns, but then the tank afterwards pulls a big pack onto the boss that I never expected, since I've never seen it like this. With communication, this would have been better. With that being said, it was an absolute mindbender for me to just now squeeze a backstab in my usual just 3-button rotation during Shadow Dance window, but I'm slowly getting used to it. It also just came to mind that with Midnight we could actually use both Facility and Cold Blood, and that's gonna be hella cool. Now then, enough yapping. Let's get something done. I was instantly ready and pretty overconfident I nailed these new tips and tricks, because after all, it's just a tank, which means we gotta start big, because we ain't got time for being a bitch. 13 Arakara, baby. Still one that is absolutely not considered a fan favorite. I don't mind the dungeon. Since I played it on all 3 rolls, I can say it's fine, but I have a specific issue that is just reoccurring in here, which I'll talk about later. First boss though, the Party Breaker. Not only did we have some solid damage early on to deal with the adds quick, we also had good position. Is what I would love to tell you here. Truth is, our DK didn't even give 2 shits about the spiders. We had to clutch up so hard and get this done, and I was fighting for my life pretty much the entire time. However, easily the most annoying thing in here, and so we move. And besides the occasional death, we were at least somewhat on track. The big Buckload Overload fell with 8:30 to go, which is absolutely rough. No questions asked, but we still have less to spend during the final boss, so there is a chance. It's still in the realm of being doable. What wasn't doable was that wonky pull our tank pulled off, that I personally have never seen. Besides the Overseer at the beginning, he pulled one to the right as well. Technically, that is absolutely playable, because there are other packs with 2 Overseers as well. But the difficult part was nobody saw it coming. And then he of course flamed somebody else cause no freedom. Lol. Again, keep in mind, the tank didn't say a word, unless it was to degrade somebody. That's not how you communicate with the common goal in mind to time the key. Which is the problem I have with Arakara. It's usually tanks overpulling. Whatever. At this point I know this drill, so we're just gonna do the 12 and...
Oh, he did!
Back to the drawing board, I guess. Is there a way to play Arakara without tanks? Just asking for a friend here.
No?
Disregarding all the bricking, all the frustration about all the keys I had to play to just again get back up to 12 just to break them again. All of that brought me to a record low, so I was ready to cheat. I saw this in the LFG tool, a streamer doing viewer keys. So checked them out. And because he just started the stream and his view count was still down, I decided to charm in. Now, I know you sit here and say, disgusting! But here's the reality. Nobody knows who I am. I'm just some key depleting muppet. It also didn't seem like they knew I was recording any of it, so we went for the ride. With that being said, go to Drenpi? Maybe I should have asked how to pronounce the name. Anyways, go follow him on Twitch, because he does viewer keys, and it was super hilarious to listen to him having a good old banter with his friends in Discord. But long story short, so the last of you crybabies can calm down and uncheck the dislike, we didn't time the key. Okay, nothing gained, nothing lost. Besides the fact that it felt so much more chill to not play my own key with the omega pressure of messing it up. What was also funny was this BM Hunter off, top DPS died 4 times, had 0 kicks, 0 CCs used, apparently Turtle also not on the bars, but hey, he did damage, and ain't that something. The feeling of relaxation when playing somebody else's key got to me though. So I kept applying. And for some reason, some damn reason, people deemed my 2.8k alongside a 712 item level for worthy enough to be invited rather quickly. In this run specifically, I felt the theory I had earlier where going out of combat will increase my DPS. First 3 pulls I was able to stealth, and the damage looked absolutely acceptable. It was mind-blowing to see how this party was so well made in terms of making the right decisions on who to invite. Besides some random deaths that didn't really have any consequences, overall this group was packing some heat. And I just focused on damage, preferably sitting on targets that just have to die first, or simply casters to instantly kick, and the overall so far shows. Big fan. Now haters would say, a smooth, yet not perfect run, with an expected result, which now ensures we need 2 more dungeons for a resilient angle. I also now, for the first time ever, saw the neck and flood drop, which you guys been telling me about for weeks and I didn't believe any of you. I thought it was just a lie. But the triple M is real, dude, and it packs avoidance apparently. So at this point, we need both Tazavesh dungeons on 12. And because this new and secret tech I learned called applying to keys worked so well, I just kept doing that. Not even 5 minutes later, I was in the next run, which is crazy if you consider my dumbass just pushed his own key non-stop. And this run was so promising at the start. We had it all. CR, a healer with kick, plenty of buffs for your boy, and communication. Because we called for Bloodlust on the second pack, and guess what? Hey, I said communication, not good or successful communication. Though at least this run disproved my everyone is better at making parties than me fear I developed during the Floodgate. Because 5 deaths before the first boss is down and nothing to sneeze at. The peak communication continued as both the monk and I were calling for lust during the postman, to the point where we had to beg for it, since neither the hunter nor the shaman felt like it's their responsibility. Now, fortunately, we recovered from the 5 early deaths and the attempt for a weekly no luster, which then gets us another 12 in the bags. But here's the insane part. The gift, the sign, the last straw of Blizzard finally telling me to get going. As I rerolled my key, I got the one, the only one I so desperately need, Gambit. And I kid you not, I took only the most insane people I was able to find. The absolute meta comp. We got a Rescue Druid, we got double DK and augmentation. Huh? So you're trying to tell me that I will witness somebody putting the augmentation for the final plus 12 key to cement a resilient key level? Whoever had that idea? Ban him.
It's you! It's you!
I mean, technically, we got what we need. 2 plus CRs, just in case, a Lust, a Frosty K, and 2 Grippies. Meaning nobody is going anywhere. The good thing, however, because we as sub are pretty much always in cooldown windows, so the buffs of the Evoker are never wasted. It was just once again the chain pulling that messed me up sideways. Especially if you consider that from the start to the first boss was 1 pull, and I lose so much on that opening burst, it's beyond crazy. Speaking of crazy, I completely forgot how insane the CC of augmentation is. The constant knockups are so funny looking, and they are really helpful too. I'm just more and more annoyed about not being able to reset and make use of the extra 4-second dance window, because that's just so much damage. 50% longer dance? Crazy. Though I understand most tanks just want to chain non-stop, because they run that damn trinket from the raid. So for me personally, it's just super bad. I'm sure if we just do pulls after pulls, the overall would be in my favor. Though I can't just keep moping. I have to do something about it. So instead, I will just quickly 2-chest this bitch to reveal the resilient angle of plus 12, and now, for sure, the final milestone before reaching 3k. No more 10s, no more pressure on 12s. Now I can just YOLO everything like the tanks do in my keys. Big fan. But because I played so many keys this week, to the point where every damn vault slot was a 12, and because it's Tuesday night, I was happy to call it a week, lock it the next day, and prepare my body for the final upgrades we are grabbing this week. The final push. Hopefully. The final vault. Hopefully. Because there ain't no way we won't get anything insane from the vault at least once during the series. Another blue ball? Are you kidding me, Blizzard? But surely I get something nice from the war within Dungeon Weekly, right? Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to episode 9, the cursed episode. Not really, I just said that for dramatic purpose. Of me figuring out that I'm potentially not good enough.
In this Zero to Hero Keystone Legend Sub-Rogue Edition. In the last episode, we finally figured out what hit the brakes on our damage, and the truth was as reasonable as it was expectable. It's chain pulling, aka tanks, and I'm going to keep blaming them.
I'll be damned.
We finally achieved the final milestone before 3k because we just obtained the bricked up achievement of Resilient Dwarfs, which means my keys no longer deplete below that level, and ensures I will not have to see any affix in the near future. And that gave you a little glimpse into my potential final vault. One could say I blue-balled you. Get it? Because the sack comes back to haunt me, and that's something I never expected to say out loud. However, I can tell you, today, oh boy, we are blessed. Blessed in all kinds of ways. Blessed by Blizzard for hotfixing something that gets us closer to our goal overnight. Blessed by Blizzard after receiving one sack of terrorizing vault after the other. And blessed because we are closer than ever to the overwhelming goal of 10,000 subbies on the tuber. So if you are not part of this yet, then I don't know what to say. But if you want to see what the weekly quest spat in our direction, if you want to see how your boy keeps performing so otherworldly dogshit and still types keys, if you want to be part of the enforcing unit that is the support gang on YouTube, then make sure to leave a like, because again, it's so huge for the videos and I love how you've been helping me out throughout this entire series. And potentially subscribe if you haven't, because this is not the only series we have in the anticipation for midnight. Alright, so after I had to call up my ex-girlfriend for a clear explanation on why I'm constantly getting blue-balled, I had but one thing in mind, the weekly quest for the War Within Dungeon event going on right now. After completing any sort of Mythic dungeons, being it Mythic 0 or Mythic Plus, 4 times, you get a random heroic raid item just as a gift. I've been part on some crazy posts from that during my live streams. People pulling the biz items like House of Cards last season, Transmitter in the first season, or even the Spy Master's Web. And then never playing the character again. Ain't that right, Jeff?
My name is Jeff.
But me personally, I don't get lucky often. I usually pull wrists or item from the first boss, but I had this feeling of compensation after I had my volt spit into my face once again. Oh, and by the way, of course, I got some head. I took the head, I mean. Now, we start this episode with a key we've done before, but failed horribly. Vault's 13, which obviously I didn't get from my vault. Got a 12 gambit, timed that one. Proof? Well, yeah, kinda forgot to record that. Stupid! But it looked like this. The amount of times I see my ass at the bottom is disgusting, man. So I decided to lock in. I will not change targets anymore. In order for pugging safety, instead of targeting the big bulky high HP enemies that I do not give a shit about, I will target the casters, because they can kill the party. So for halls, this means we are talking about the collectors, the Houndmasters, and if neither of them is around, the obliterators. So since the Houndmaster usually jumps around like Super Mario on crack, I just go for whatever is in melee and maybe prepare to shadow step onto him if I need to. This approach may not always brought me on the top of DPS, but it did set me flying on top of the kicks per pull, that's for sure. Now since the last time we were here, a lot has changed. Most importantly, the dungeon got nerfed. 10% less trash required. Some mobs grant more overall count as some casters around the big stone muppets got removed. So in math, we're talking about the following important numbers. Instead of 82% trash before the second boss, you now need pretty much only 80% in order to get the full count. But even if you happen to be a little short, you can pull either one or both of the gargoyles before the third boss, just in case you need some. The very least amount of score, however, should be 73.18. Anything below that and you will need to reclear later on. Now, what did we learn in Hall so far? Again, those Houndmasters. If the Loyal Beast cast goes through, your tank, unless it's a prot warrior, will absolutely eat shit trying to face tank them. Other than that, the collectors will channel a cast onto the party member which hurts like hell, so make sure to intercept them whatever it takes. Smartest thing would be not to use your kick for it, but rather let the cast finish and then instantly use something like a stun, knock up, displacement, or any other sort of casting stop, since it will trigger the cooldown, but only after it started channeling in the first place. Now in the first boss you can min-max a lot of room if you're some OCD having Puzzle King, but the truth is, you got so much room, so don't stress it. Important are only two things, sort of as an advice. Don't stand on a tank so you don't get pancaked, and be prepared because the lasers can in fact change direction. In a weird turn of events, compared to my usual attempts for 13s, this was super close to be two-chested. We missed one last window, simply because Hunter, and we had two deaths which took 30 seconds off the clock itself. A bit unfortunate, however, this was now my first 13 timed and so I was quite happy regardless. But that ain't it.
The cursed stone idol dropped. Not for me, but for somebody who was willing to trade it. I'm still stuck with the damn rare stone since week 1, which never lines up with my stuff. So I happily crushed this dude in a quick roll. Sit down, bitch boy. And then we move towards the highest key we have done this entire season so far. 14 streets. Yeah, streets. Oh boy. I thought timing that thing on 12 would be the end of the story, but I guess the sack of terror is just trying to get in my bag so bad. It changes fate. But I thought, screw it. 64 rating away, a time 14 would give me half of that probably. Unfortunately, I'm ass. Nothing else to say. Nobody's surprised. Sure, we had 2 more deaths that weren't me, but that's none of my business. Me dying twice to dumb mechanics during boss fights was just inexcusable. So 13 it is, and this time I focused on focusing, if that makes sense? Not dying was the name of the game. No! Hey, that was not me this time.
Okay.
But hey, at least we got communication. Strategizing to do the RP before the concert boss, so we have Luster for the postman. The tank wasn't certain, but he took our idea and adapted in a heartbeat. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is a tank you want. Not some Omega pulling Muppet that just blames the party if it goes wrong. What I personally also want more often is having a pull after being able to reset with ads on top of the boss. I can do so much magic doing that and I effing love it, man. Even better, turns out that if you don't die on bosses non-stop or have a full wipe, timing at 13 ain't that difficult, huh? That's crazy. Another 17 score in the bag for an overall of 29.53. Now, with that being said, something was fishy. I now timed 3 keys for this week, but something didn't count for my quest. It was the horse, for some reason. I've heard a lot of wild stories or ideas why some work and some don't. Some told me the old dungeons don't work, but Tazavesh did. So all of them didn't line up, and I'm just gonna have to take this as a common Blizzard angle and prep the rest of my quest by doing lower keys. Which brings us to the result. The Manaforge, Omega, heroic item granted by this quest could change our life. It could change everything. It could change my world. For the best or the worst. It could give me hype, joy and excitement, or the overwhelmingly need to stab my own eyes and replace them with 2 balls of terror. One item I want. One. Just one. The trinket to rule them all. Everything else, mid or garbage. Please be Nether Prism, please be Nether Prism, please be Nether Prism. Oh, fuck yes! Fuck you, Blizzard, and your dumbass sack of shit. I don't need trinkets anymore. I'm endgame, baby. Receiving another prism from this gambling mechanic released the same endorphins as when I discovered that the dude who played Darth Maul actually did all of those crazy moves by himself. And of course, after this insane luck, bad news followed right away. You see, in this very night, Blizzard admitted a mistake and hotfixed something that could potentially end up being the most anticlimactic finish to a series ever. They admitted that the Salated Sky affix, which is present at 12 and above, and is the reason for the 15-second timer reduction per death, didn't grant the proper score. So every key essentially gave 5 score less. 5 times 8 is 40, which means I logged in to this.
Hell no, man. What the?
And all of a sudden, I was only 7 score away. Now, why is that bad news? It means they eluded this Nether Prism for only 1 damn key. Are you kidding me? So in order to make it 2 keys, I quickly abandoned the 14 Ecodome after the first pack, because we ended up with 5 deaths right away. Eventually, we did time the 13 and ended up with Keystone Legend. Nothing happened there. And I'm sure you hear the lack of enthusiasm in my voice here, because those 40 rating came at a weird time. If I'd be at, let's say, 2800 right now, I'd taken them with a smile and said thank you. But I was this close without it. So I asked myself, what could I do in order to make it feel more special? And the answer is, I can't. I considered going for 3040 rating, and even though that sounds like a weird number, the 40 is that very compensation we gained overnight. But that also just felt like a meh, whatever. So I decided against that. Take the 3k, take that ugly ass mount, take the achievement and move on. I will continue to play the rogue anyways for my own enjoyment, because I really like it and I still want to time at 13 or 14 being top DPS. Hey, let this boy dream, okay? Which brings me to the thing I started doing during this expansion. A review. As honest as possible. So what do I think about Sub-Rogue and Mythic Plus? The short answer is, I think it's super fun. Well designed for pugging as long as you play Trickster, and as of right now, in this very season, it's super strong as well. The long answer is, what are the pros? The pro is that even though your 90-second windows aren't up for every pull, with Shadow Dance and Symbols you still got a decent burst damage regardless. You got multiple builds you can play, depending on what you want to do, and if you like or dislike certain spells, you can make some choices there. Obviously in the sense of timing 10s and having a good time, not when you want to be rank 1. Furthermore, I feel like the gearing of sub is very straightforward and easily explained. You want a shitload of mastery and verse until it hurts, almost on every item. And even if you can't have it, having a little crit is not bad either. Just avoid haste and then you can make adjustments with enchants or gems. And you only need a decent main hand, as the offhand is by far not as important as it's on other specs or classes. Also, for the first time in forever, you actually got decent trinket options, not just from raid, but Mythic Plus as well. Sub usually struggles finding a good unused trinket with a 90-second cooldown, mainly because usually there's only one in the game per season. But with Lily and Idol, you got some stuff to look forward to just from the dungeons. And then, obviously, there's a nether prism in case you raid. You also got both ring slots and the next slot with verse mastery dropping from keys, and that's incredible. Another good thing is that your rotation doesn't really change, because most of your AoE is from passive that makes most of your single target abilities cleave. I'd say the only difference in prioritizing spells is Secret Tech for AoE and the 4-set procced up Coup de Grace for more single target. At least in terms of what do you want to use for your empowered finishes after symbols. And last but not least, I do think rogues are very durable. However, you need to use a lot of energy to keep feint up non-stop, which is an excellent defensive when running elusiveness. Now there are a few cons for sure. On a certain key level you just can't re-stealth anymore, which does deny you a little bit of an easy access openings. Also, because your damage is just passive cleaving, it's also very mid if trash is not stacked proper and on one spot. Another bad concept is that you pretty much have just this one hero talent. Night Stalker might be more suited for like pure single target, or I can see it being played in PvP, but for PvE content, Trickster is just a lot more reliable. Even in raids where almost every boss has adds to cleave on. And even in raids where it's just a single target boss, most people just play Trickster anyways. Last but not least, I think we all can agree that rogues are arguably the most useless class in general when it comes to overall utility and keys. I know, blind, Sure, you got an enrage spell that is tied to a 6-hour cooldown, it feels like. Sure, you got some nifty poisons, but other than that, nothing stands out. If you have a rogue in your party, there's a good chance you can't really invite other DPS that don't have Bloodlust or CR. Because let's be honest, in pugging, you take whatever tank or healer spec you can get as long as they look decent. So you fill your DPS up with the super important utility. I wish they would give rogues a proper AoE stun, like they did with Dragonflight, as well as Smoke Bomb as a baseline spell in the kit. Smoke Bomb could be an RP solution for something that comes close to DK grips, with an on-demand line of sight spell to ensure archer mobs to get close to melee, as they can't attack anything else. This would at least give rogue some sort of usefulness, cause the AoE cloak does in fact not get used. Or hell, make it a talent node for either go for Shroud or Smoke Bomb, why not? All in all, I had an absolute blast playing the rogue, I really did. It can be a bit overwhelming at the start because of those 4 cooldowns you have, but once you get that muscle memory going, nothing will stop you. Nothing but chain pulling tanks. But usually those come across a lot later in your key journey, so don't worry. Most of the tanks and low keys are way too long, so you're gonna have your buff up. Be it as it may, I highly recommend playing a rogue, or sub-rogue for that matter, because the class fantasy of being a sneaky little stab is still one of the coolest things in my book, which is why rogue was my very first character. Haters would say because I'm a little bitch who needs to come from stealth. Before ending this video, and therefore officially the series, let me quickly say something and announce something as well for you that are still here. First of all, thank you. And I know this sounds cheesy and corny, but I don't care. The support you guys gave me this series throughout the last few weeks was insane. I see the numbers. I mean it. It shows me that you guys like watching DPS more than tanks or healers, as long as I suffer enough, which is fair. Liking the videos when they release is always so important for the, and I hate to use this word, but algorithm. But you guys were crushing it, non-stop, to the point where we almost sit on 10,000 subscribers. Imagine that. I wanted to play tank or healer next, but I'm more than happy to struggle my way through the DPS life again if it means you guys have a good time. Maybe I just drop a full-blown random marble run again and see what's up. Which is kind of a good segue, because we could potentially do that on stream. Streams will return in the near future. However, due to some unexpected happenings at work, where one important coworker randomly quit and the other one will leave in 3 weeks, I have to figure out what my schedule will be like going forward. So until then, I'm gonna try to have maybe 2 streams a week, one maybe for recording, one most likely for community keys, and some good fashion banter. And as soon as I get my schedule somewhat figured out, because my boss also can't give me a proper explanation at the moment, I would love to have a weekly set schedule for you guys to enjoy. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll keep you updated, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.